Yo, what's that word? This is 3012 Inning Podcast. I'm your host, Broderick. Now, today we're going to do a schedule prediction based off the preseason coaches poll top 25. And we're on the number three team in the land, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, another thing I want to feature is the next couple days, I'm actually going to be dropping 2 videos per day. So, y'all like, subscribe to the channel if y'all rock with the content. But at the same time, Alabama, this is y'all day. So we're gonna get into the schedule prediction next up. Our Crimson Tide fans, y'all know it's title of the bus. You know, Tuscaloosa is title town. But we got to see how the team performs this year. And with that, we're gonna break down by 3 or 4 key elements. With the first being how they match up with their rivals. Now, the first rival we're going to talk about is the Auburn Tigers. You know, they've had a recent run of recruiting success on the recruiting trail, even versus Alabama directly with a player like Perry Thompson, one of the top 10, top 5 receivers in the 2024 recruiting class. But we got to see how that plays off on the field. We know Nick Saban is the GOAT college football coach. So we know they're going to rebound. We know got Alabama got talent on the roster. So I'm not going to say, they're going to get used to losing on the recruiting trails. There's still players that are highly interested in them. They bounce back big with Amari Jefferson. But the point of the matter is on the field with the Auburn Tigers. Now, this is the first year for Coach Hugh Freeze for the Auburn Tigers. We know he knows how to dial up a good offense. Want to see how that defense plays out. They do have some veterans and young talent that I like over there. But this is a game, um, depending on circumstances, by Alabama. I expect them to out physical Auburn. And I think it's going to be lower scoring than people might think. And I think it's going to be a defensive battle. But at the same time, I'm not going to make a prediction right now. Watch to the end for that. But I think they match up really well with Auburn. Next rival is LSU. Oh, that Auburn game is also going to be at home. No, on the road. I'm sorry about that. Most of Alabama's most talented opponents and most important games are at home this year. LSU is going to be at home at Bryant-Denny Stadium. They return Jaden Daniels, Mason Smith, um, what's the receiver's name? Malik Neighbors. So LSU has a lot of talent, including the 1 or 2 point win um, over Alabama last year. So they got this game at home. This will be a very interesting game. I think they match up very well with each other. They're built similarly. I think you can say that depending on who Alabama's going to pick at the quarterback position. And we'll see how this game plays out. But it's definitely a benefit that they got the game at home. The final rival, well, another of the rivals will be Tennessee. Tennessee with that epic victory over Alabama last year, arguably the best game in the college football season last year with them storming the field, and I think them beating Alabama for the first time in about 15 years was very interesting. And I think they have a chance to be special this year as well. So we're gonna see how that plays out in that game with Joe Milton starting at quarterback. I expect Tennessee to be strong this year, and this game is also an at-home game again for Alabama, so that's an advantage. And we're gonna see how it plays out because I expect that Alabama defense to be really good this year. Next, we have potential upsets. Potential upsets on the season. I have Texas. Now, last year that game was at Texas. This year it's going to be in Tuscaloosa. That's going to be a very important game for Alabama. I expect Quinn Ewers to be much improved, especially with Arch Manning and other quarterbacks. Murphy pushing at him to improve. I think it's going to be a breakout season for Quinn Ewers. Of course, they got a lot of talent at the receiver, tight end, and more mature offensive line than last year. They had a lot of talented freshmen, five-star freshmen, some of the best players in the state of Texas last year along that offensive line. And I expect that defense to be stronger. Players like Cedric Baxter in the recruiting class, replacing Bijan Robinson and Roshan Johnson at running back. So I expect Texas to be really strong this year. We're going to have to see how that game plays out. Again, it is at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Next, we got Ole Miss at home, potential upset. If you watch the 2 previous videos on Michigan and Georgia, You recognize that Ole Miss is one of those teams I've highlighted. I think they're going to be really strong on the offensive side. Quinshawn Judkins, again, is the best running back in my opinion in the SEC and potentially in the nation. So we have to see how that game is going to play out. I do expect Ole Miss to take a step forward on defense with Pete Golden there now. Um, and again, that Ole Miss game is at home again. Alabama really, they really got the schedule makers in here for this season. And then Tennessee, I already mentioned them as a rival. Again, I expect Tennessee to be really good this year. They actually just picked up a big commitment from I don't want to mess up his first name, but I believe it's Jordan Ross, defensive end, top 50 defensive end from Alabama over Alabama. So again, recruiting trail, but we can go over a lot of times that Alabama itself has won on the recruiting trail, including this cycle when them have another dominant class. And I believe either not last class or the class before that, like 7 5 stars, literally. So we know Alabama has the talent. I think they're going to match it well with Tennessee. I think they're going to have revenge on their mind. But there's no Bryce Young this year, and he was spectacular in that game and many other games. The Heisman Trophy winner. So again, that's going to be, I think, another good game to watch. And this game is at home again for the Alabama Crimson Tide. The next subject matter we're going to discuss is the top three players on offense and defense. So first, we're going to discuss the offense. I got right tackle, which I was surprised he didn't switch over to the left side. J.C. Latham, 6'6", 300-pound, true junior for the Alabama Crimson Tide. I think he's going to be an All-American candidate first, maybe the first offensive lineman taken in the 2024 NFL Draft. But for this season, again, I was surprised he didn't switch over to the left tackle position. Apparently, Alabama is really confident in Elijah Pritchett and Hayden Proctor over there on the left side, 5-star freshman tackle. So again, I expect them to be one of the top linemen, if not the top lineman in all of college football this year. We know Alabama recruits, very large man, was good at IMG and pass blocking and run blocking. Think he's going to be even more stout against the run this year, which I expect Alabama to do more of this year to play the running game in tough defensive battle, more like the older Bama days due to their quarterback situation that we're going to discuss a little bit later. Then you have Amari Neblect, tight end for Alabama, 6'4", 233 pounds. Head coach Nick Saban has talked about him improving a lot and during this fall scrimmage and even the springtime. And I think he has a chance to be the 1B to our number 3 offensive player that's coming up next in the passing game for Alabama. Um, I think he has improved the most as a blocker per reports out of Tuscaloosa, and I expect him to be a big part of this team and get. I think he's going to be involved more in the passing game than Latu was, and we're going to see how that goes this year for Alabama. But he's a very talented tight end. The third player, like I said, the 1A in the passing game is going to be wide receiver Jermaine Burton, transfer from Georgia. I think when it comes to transfer, once they've been in the school for another year, we can stop calling them transfers from wherever. So Alabama wide receiver Jermaine Burton had, I believe, 677 yards last year, about 7 touchdowns, um, with a lot of receptions as well. Either were in the 50s or 60s, I believe. Alabama fans, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, and let me know how y'all like the video if these are y'all top 3 offensive players. But I expect them to be number 1 target in the passing game this year. Of course, we know Alabama returns a lot of talent, but it's young in that wide receiver room, and I'm interested to see how that shakes out. The top 3 players on defense. Start off with maybe the first defensive back that's going to be taken in the draft 2024, and that's Kool-Aid McKinstry. Now, some people are saying he could be the best defensive player in the nation. I don't know if I'd agree with that, and that's not to say he isn't talented, but or that he isn't the best defensive player in the nation. But it's also about there's other contenders there. But I do think he is one of the top 5 best defensive players in the nation and the best player at his position. Um, and I think he's going to be Well, let's talk about the second player before I say that. Second player I had was Dallas Turner, an explosive edge rusher, has a chance to be a top 20 pick in the draft, in my opinion, from St. Thomas Aquinas High School in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Was a great Robin to Will Anderson's Batman last year. I think he's going to take over that spot this year and be that full on pass rusher. I want to see him get better at the run. Not saying he was bad, but his main thing has been the pass rush, and I expect that wholeheartedly to continue. And I'm excited to see what he does this year. He he's slightly undersized in my opinion. He's not small, but he's strong, quick, makes of it with good footwork. You want to see how his technique improves as far as his hand placement and things of that nature. We can get locked on with tackles, and again to see how he improves in the run game. The next player on defense, I put two players. I kind of cheated a little bit here. The first player was middle linebacker senior Chris Braswell, the captain of that defense. I think he's going to step up. Definitely have to be more vocal with the departure of middle linebacker Henry To'oTo'o, who I expect to have a big year in the NFL. Who I think plays for the Texans. But Chris Braswell is definitely going to have to step up, consume his role as as a defensive leader, and even more of a leader this year. I think he's going to have more of an impact this year. With Alabama expecting to have a ferocious secondary this year, I think teams are going to try to run it more often. Especially with Will Anderson being a beast against the run in the pass, you couldn't really run to his side. And I think Alabama outside linebackers is definitely going to step up. I think they're going to be great. I think Alabama is going to have a really strong defense this year. Last year, not so much, but I think Kevin Steele is going to defensive coordinator, Kevin Steele is going to improve that unit a lot this year. They're going to be much better against the run and the pass, and I think it's going to be Alabama's calling card this year. Again, to getting back to the older Alabama where they dominated you on defense and a physical running game with an enormous offensive line. I think the only offensive line that rivals Bama's as far as pure size and probably strength is the Georgia offensive line, which we know is incredible as well. Um, but yes, besides Chris Braswell, the player that was slashed was true freshman, 5-star true freshman Caleb Downs from Mill Creek. I believe he played at. Reports out of Tuscaloosa is that he's a Minka Fitzpatrick clone, and I think stature-wise they have it. I want to see as far as how it compares to Minka coverage-wise, um, how he's going to be. But I think he's going to be great against the run initially. Another player I like to highlight is Terrion Arnold, safety as well. I think he's going to be a very important factor in his defense as well as Earl Little at the cornerback position. Again, Alabama is loaded on defense, and I expect them to show that this year more than they did last year. The next and final focus before we get to the actual schedule prediction is the key storyline. And we know for Bama, that is the quarterback battle. It's been reports that it's a three-team competition. Me, myself, personally, I think it's a two-person competition, and that's between the Notre Dame transfer Tyler Buckner and Taylor, Jalen Milroe. A lot of respect, first of all, to Jalen Milroe for not transferring. Bryce Young got that start as a true freshman, stayed down, and now he has a chance to win the starting quarterback battle. Uh, Reports out of Tuscaloosa is actually that Tyler Buckner has struggled a lot, and that's surprising when he had Tommy Reeves at Notre Dame for a couple of years, recruited him there, but he did come over in the summertime. He did have the advantage of knowing the playbook, but at the same time, he's going up against a different level of talent. With all due respect to Notre Dame, at Alabama, especially with that defense that I keep harping on every day in practice. As we know, the second and third stringers at Bama are better than a lot of the first stringers at a lot of other colleges. So, ultimately with that knowledge, I actually have Jalen Milroe winning the quarterback battle. Tim, he reminds me a lot of Joe Milton and AR Anthony Richardson, who played for the Florida Gators last year, and a starting quarterback for the Colts this year. Um, he's a very mobile quarterback. We want to see what he does with his arms. I think he's going to extend a lot of plays, and I think they're going to be great in the read option game, quarterback power game, uh, power sweep game. And again, I expect the Alabama offense to be more run oriented this year with that massive offensive line, and he's gonna hold defenders up because they have to count for his legs this year. He showed that a lot last year when he got a chance to play. But I expect Jalen Milroe to win that quarterback battle. Alabama fans, subscribe to the channel. Get in the comments and let me know if who y'all think is going to win the quarterback battle. Um, is one of these quarterbacks deserving to be in the top three offensive players? Do you think they're going to send like that? Doesn't seem like there's been much separation in that quarterback room. And I'd be remiss not to mention the redshirt freshman Ty Simpson. But I just think it's going to be between Tyler Buckner and Jalen Milroe. And we got to see how it plays out. Come back to this video when that depth chart comes out. And again, let me know if I was right or wrong. Now, finally, we're going to get to the schedule prediction for the Alabama Crimson Tide. I'm pull out my phone because your boy vision ain't what it used to be. So for the first game, you got Middle Tennessee at home. Now I don't think Alabama is Miami, and I don't expect no shockers there, especially at home. So I'm gonna go with Alabama starting off the season week 1-0. Next we have Texas at home. Texas at home. Again, I expect this to be a good game. I expect Texas to have explosive offense this year. Um, Steve Sarkisian haven't done well on the road at Texas. But I think towards the back half of the year, that team really started to gel more, and they did have a really solid transfer portal class. And actually, I'm gonna go with Alabama. Whew, I'm gonna go with Alabama losing this game to Texas at home. Big win for UT here. I got Alabama at 1-1. The first time in the early season in a long time, I believe. Then we got versus South Florida, USF. USF is in a rebuilding stage, and I don't expect them to be able to compete with Alabama here, even at home in Tampa. So I got Alabama at 2-1. Then we have versus Ole Miss. Um, versus Ole Miss again. Y'all know I'm really high on Ole Miss this year. Um, and this game is at home for Alabama. I think if this game was on the road, I have a different prediction. But for right now, I'm gonna go with Alabama winning this game. It's gonna be so important, and Alabama's 3 at 1 point at this point. It's gonna be so important to see who's the quarterback here and that quarterback play. That's why I like watching the week 0 games to see how like teams are gonna play the rest of their opponents, like how the gelling is and the chemistry between quarterback, wide receivers. We know the running game is expected to be, well, you're just handing the ball off essentially. And a lot of time running back is based on talent. But I want to see how the chemistry is between who I project to be the starter and Jalen Milroe and his receivers, like Jermaine Burton and Amari Black here. So continue on. We got at Mississippi State. I think this is another rebuilding season, especially with the tragic passing of head coach Mike Leach here. I'm gonna go with Alabama to win this game, be 4-1. Then we have at Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M is going to be improved this year. Bob Petrino, in my opinion, is going to improve that offense. And I expect this to be a low-scoring game and a close game. I could actually see Texas A&M pulling out this game. But for right now, I'm going to go with Alabama to win this game. And they're 5-1. Then we have versus Arkansas. KJ Jefferson, to me, is one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. Um, and I think if they could find some verifiable playmakers, that this game could be a decent game, but I think Alabama again is going to out physical this team. I think they're going to do that to a lot of teams this year and just wear them down. And by the mid third quarter, they're going to pull away from Arkansas. And this game is at home for Alabama. That Texas A&M game was on the road as well as the Mississippi State game, and I got Alabama being 6-1 at this point. Then we have Tennessee at home. Got Tennessee at home. think Tennessee's going to have a really good team this year. Um, mm, this is a tough game right here. It's going to be a very, very tough game to judge, but I got to go with my gut. I'm gonna go with my gut. I think Tennessee's gonna win this game. I think their offense is gonna score more than Alabama's offense, and that's the name of the game. Whoever has the most points at the end. And I actually have Alabama being 6-2 at this point. I know Alabama fans are already shocked, damn near maybe already about to turn off the video, but this is. I hope y'all can respect where I'm coming from. That I'm trying to be objective in this sense, or that I'm being objective in this sense. Then we have LSU the very next week, a very tough stretch here for Alabama. Actually, looking at the schedule, I found it was insane, but it is Alabama. But this schedule was really, really insane. And so, especially with not having a solidified starter at quarterback uh, about a week and a half before the season begins, it's going to be tough. At LSU, I think they're going to be a very good team this year, especially with Malik Neighbors at wide receiver, Jaden Daniels at quarterback. He's very dangerous with his leg as well as the pass. And Nussmeier, if they go a different direction, and I think they're going to be strong defense. Mason Smith should be he should be more recovered than he is going to be game one this season after the ACL injury last year. He might be close to his old self by this time, and with more development, more practice time by this point. And of course, Harold Perkins, I think, is going to get after the quarterback, even though Alabama has a strong offensive line. And this game is at home. I think it's going to be a physical game. I think it's going to be one of the best games of the year. Um, and honestly, again, like I said, Alabama fans not liking me right now, but I got Alabama the first time in a long time being 6-3 at this point in the season. Alabama fans, I know y'all gonna be in the comments. Let me know about myself, and it's okay. I respect it. Let's have some honest dialogue between each other, and you know, we're gonna see how it plays out. So we got Alabama at 6-3 going into the game at Kentucky. I expect Kentucky to be very improved this year, but I don't think the depth is going to be there to hold up against Alabama by the time the ending to the second quarter, beginning of third quarter pops up around. I think Alabama is going to already be in pretty firm control, and they're going to start to really wear on Kentucky in this game. I got Alabama at 7-3 at this point. Then we have at Chattanooga, with all due respect, that's more of a scrimmage type game for the Crimson Tide. And I expect a lot of true freshmen to be playing in this game. And I got the Alabama Crimson Tide at 8-3 at this point. And then you have the Auburn Tigers rivalry game. Hugh always has a good offense. I think he's going to game playing well for this Alabama team, but I think Alabama is just too talented at this point, especially with them already having 3 losses. They're going to be looking for revenge against everybody, trying to dominate everybody. And they only would have 1 loss at this point as far as the SEC West. So I think they're still going to be in a contention for the SEC West title. And, of course, they want to get back to Atlanta and face who I think is going to be or on the other side, which is the Georgia Bulldogs, and still have a chance to have a special season at this point and maybe even a national championship appearance if they beat the Georgia Bulldogs. It's going to be hard with the 3 losses they lose, and that'll be 4 losses at that point, which is unfathomable for Bama. It's even difficult to say, but again, I got them at 9-3 at this point. I think they beat Auburn, and there you have it. Alabama fans, y'all like, subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan of college football, just like and subscribe to the channel. Get in the comments, Alabama fan. Let me know if I was on point or I was tripping in this video. I got y'all at 9-3. I know it hasn't been that way for a long time. And hell, y'all could go 12-0. But right now, I got y'all anywhere from a floor of 9-3 to a ceiling of 12-0. But my official prediction, I'm not backing down from it. It's gonna be 9-3. I appreciate y'all time. It's been a good one. Peace. Subscribe to the channel. Peace.